The headlines for this hour on VTV News. Tank and Armored Corps urged to uphold solidarity, cooperation, and collective achievement. Prime Minister orders calm, flexible, effective tariff negotiations with the United States. And Pope Francis' funeral to be held on Saturday.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello, it's 8 a.m. local time in Hanoi. You're watching VTV News. Party General Secretary Theo, the Secretary of the Central Military Commissions, has called on the Tank and Armored Corps to uphold their long-standing traditions of solidarity, cooperation, and collective achievement. He made the statement during Tuesday's visit to the Corps.
Visiting the Tank and Armored Corps Brigade 201 training ground, Party General Secretary Theo expressed his satisfaction with the unit's growth and development, recognizing it as one of the Vietnam People's Army's key forces. Emphasizing the increasing demands of national defense in the current context, he called on the Corps to thoroughly implement Politburo's resolutions, translate them into practical action, and seize every opportunity to enhance combat readiness.
Enhancing the quality of training and combat readiness and focusing on synchronized and specialized training aligned with modern military demands is important. It's also crucial to foster hands-on practice, mastery of facilities and equipment, and field exercises, including night training and operations on varied terrain tailored to specific missions and combat plans. The Corps must excel in camouflage, UAV countermeasures, and defending against firepower attacks. Greater IT application and digital transformation in training, personnel management, and the development of comprehensive training databases should be encouraged.
The party chief believed that, under the leadership of the Central Military Commission and the Ministry of National Defense, the Corps would successfully carry out its assigned duties, contributing significantly to building a strong Vietnam People's Army and effectively safeguarding the country in the new era.
On Tuesday, Party General Secretary Theo had a phone call with President of the African National Congress and the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa. During the call, both sides agreed to strengthen political trust and enhance the effectiveness of the Partnership for Cooperation and Development framework between Vietnam and South Africa. The two sides agreed to promote economic, trade, and investment cooperation, enhance cooperation in education, defense, security, and research, and expand cooperation in several areas. The two leaders affirmed their mutual commitment to promoting multilateralism and cooperation regarding regional and international issues. They share a vision for a world that respects international law. Meeting voters in Củ Chi and Hoc Mon district ahead of the 9th sessions of the National Assembly, State President Lương Cường affirmed his willingness to fulfill his duties as a representative of the people. The Vietnamese State President noted that under the leadership of the party, the National Assembly, and the government, many important policies and long-term strategic plans have been introduced and implemented. These include administrative reforms, restructuring government agencies, the improvement of local governance, the elimination of temporarily and dilapidated houses, the development of social housings, and the abolition of school fees for students. Regarding Ho Chi Minh City, State President Lương Cường urged the city to seize the opportunities ahead and continue to lead in implementing revolutionary policies and strategies. National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn and Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính co-chaired a meeting on Tuesday with the National Assembly Party Committee and Government Party Committee to discuss preparation for the upcoming 9th sessions of the 15th National Assembly.
National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn announced that the 9th session of the 15th National Assembly will open on May the 5th. It will focus on key issues such as amending the Constitution, reorganizing administrative units, and streamlining the state apparatus to improve efficiency. He emphasized the National Assembly's readiness to consider additional urgent matters proposed by the government. The National Assembly chairman reported that the National Assembly's Standing Committee has agreed to submit 45 legislative items, 14 groups of socio-economic and state budget-related issues, and 8 groups of reports at the upcoming session, along with other critical issues. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính highlighted the challenges of preparing for the session, given the tight timeline, the extensive workload, and the need for high-quality outcomes. He called for a thorough understanding and clear translation of party policies into laws, emphasizing the need to establish a solid legal foundation to support the nation's development goals. The Prime Minister assured the government would make every effort to ensure the session achieved its goals. He reiterated that the draft laws would foster decentralization, reduce administrative barriers, and stimulate national growth, all while prioritizing the interests of the people and businesses.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính chaired a government standing committee's meeting on Tuesday to review preparation for a delegation tasked with negotiating trade issue with the United States. This marked the 5th meeting convened by the Prime Minister to implement the conclusions and directive of the Central Party Committee, the Politburo, and the Party General Secretary Tô Lâm in response to the U.S. tariff policy.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh stated that Vietnam has responded to the United States' reciprocal tariff policy in a timely, flexible, and effective manner. Looking ahead, the Prime Minister instructed ministries, sectors, and especially the government's negotiation delegation to prepare thoroughly for the upcoming talks. He emphasized the importance of aligning all negotiation efforts with the guidance of the Politburo, the Party General Secretary, and the government in accordance with the party's foreign policy stance.
Negotiation is key to achieving a long-term and sustainable trade balance with the U.S. Our approach must be calm, firm, and flexible, not rushed or perfectionist. While protecting our national interests, we must also respect the interests of others and not go against our ethics and the cultural values of the Vietnamese people. We aim to solve problems without creating new ones, using logical, respectful, and mutually beneficial arguments while safeguarding our core interests.
The Prime Minister urged ministries, sectors, and localities to continue addressing U.S. concerns while strengthening institutions and implementation efforts to promote development and protect trade. This includes tackling issues like product origin, smuggling, trade fraud, and counterfeit goods. He highlighted that this situation presents an opportunity for Vietnam to restructure its export dynamics, diversify markets and products, improve quality, reduce costs, and embrace high-tech, green, circular, and sharing economies.
Ho Chi Minh City economy expanded by over 7.5% in the first quarter of 2025, its strongest Q1 performance in 6 years. However, this still falls short of the city's 8.5% annual growth target. Experts suggest that unlocking private investment is critical to closing the gap and accelerating to 8 to 9% in the second quarter.
Over the past year, a local biodegradable plastics manufacturer has tripled its production capacity. The company credits its growth to rising global demand for eco-friendly solutions and maintaining strong performance despite global trade instability.
We're working with markets in Europe, Japan, and Australia, where demand for green tech products is strong. These markets also offer incentives and support for sustainable innovations.
In Q1, the private sector injected over $2.4 billion into Ho Chi Minh City's economy, marking a 12% year-on-year increase. Private capital remains the dominant force, accounting for more than half of the city's total investment. To reach the city's full-year target, experts urge bold policy reforms to mobilize the private sector in tackling major urban development challenges.
City leaders should assign growth mandates directly to private enterprises. If we aim to develop a railway line, we could invite major corporations to take charge. This approach would generate more projects and help unlock capital.
However, the business environment remains under pressure. New market entries dropped by more than 20%. while business closures rose by over 10% compared to last year. In response, city officials are pushing for meaningful administrative reform, pledging to cut at least 30% of unnecessary licensing procedures and reduce processing times.
We lack a one-stop mechanism for attracting investors. We must take decisive action to build the system, restore investor confidence, and bring capital back.
The authorities are deploying public investment to attract private capital into high-tech and innovation sectors. These industries have strong potential for value creation and could provide the breakthrough needed to achieve the city's double-digit growth ambitions.
The Ministry of Industry and Trade has issued a directive calling for stricter oversight of products' origins to protect the reputations of Vietnamese goods amid tightening import regulations. In early 2025, Vietnam faced 3 anti-tax evasion probes from the US and EU targeting wood, steels, and footwear, largely due to poor traceability. The Vietnam Textiles and Apparel Association warns that exporters must now meet tougher US and EU materials origins and labor standards. According to the Vietnam Timber and Forest Products Associations, exporters must pinpoint logging sites with GPS precision, detailed production methods, and secure third-party certifications. Vietnam has disbursed the equivalent of $2.3 billion into innovations and startup activities in 2024. The figure was announced at the National Innovation Investment Forum. In 2024, 141 investment deals were made by international funds and foreign partners. Notably, deals ranging from $100 to $300 million have surged 2.7 times compared to last year. This highlights a growing appetite for investing in large-scale companies with moderate risk profiles. The increased pace of deal-making reflects investor confidence even as global venture capital and private equity flows continue to decline. Coming up next on VTV News, businesses engage in mangrove forest planting to mitigate climate change impact. An original opera Carmen graces Hanoi stage for first time. Welcome back to VTV News. In Vietnam, net zero forests are gradually taking shape thanks to the collaborations of people, businesses, and government agencies. Among these efforts, the public-private partnership models in Cà Mau has contributed to planting dozens of hectares of mangrove forests, helping to reduce emissions, protect the environment, and improve local livelihoods.
Duan visits the mangrove forest several times a week.
This tree died because its roots rotted. In this case, we just plant another one. There's really nothing else we can do.
Duan is a member of the local team in charge of this forest, one of the net zero forests managed by the Southwest Forestry Research Center. Sponsoring enterprises cover the costs for seedlings and maintenance.
Businesses invest in forestry planting to mitigate climate change impacts and meet their carbon emission reduction demands.
Net zero forests ensure emission reduction, economic benefits, and erosion control. Our green transmission efforts secure energy sources and reflect our social responsibility towards the local communities where our factories are located.
Investing in mangrove forests creates a better environment, improves the livelihoods of the local people, and paves the way for businesses to enter the carbon credit market.
This species is the natural enemy of mangrove forests. It attacks the trees and damages them a lot. It's also our job to prevent them from damaging the forest.
No matter the season, Nguyen is always dedicated to forestry. The forest must be preserved to eradicate natural disasters in the locality and improve the locals' livelihoods.
The Army Officer Training School No. 1 is in intensive training to represent the Vietnam People's Army at a parade in Moscow, iconic Red Square, to mark the 80th anniversary of Russia's victory in the Great Patriotic War, May the 9th. At the assignment ceremony, the Ministry of National Defense leaders stressed that this is an honorable mission. The Central Military Commissions and the Ministry requires soldiers to uphold the traditions of alcohol soldiers, set an example in their duties, maintain strict military disciplines, and serve as the messengers of Vietnam friendship with the world. After the signing of the Paris Peace Accords in 1973, which sought to end the war in Vietnam, U.S. imperialists and the Saigon governments showed clear signs of violating the agreement through military escalations. Anticipating this, the Politburo of the Vietnamese Communist Party remained vigilant, continued to build up forces and prepare for a strategic offensive. The most significant of these were the dry season campaigns of 1974-1975, a pivotal operation across the Mekong Delta that laid a solid foundations for the final victory on April 30th, 1975.
Before the ink had dried on the Paris Agreement, the Saigon government launched an aggressive territorial campaign, pushing deep into rural areas to seize land and control the civilian population. Leaders in Military Zone 9 responded by ordering their forces to hold their ground, support the formation of revolutionary committees, and rapidly establish political and military networks.
We were determined to eliminate the TARIFF stronghold. We stayed hidden until 4 a.m. when the enemy let their guard down, thinking we were just guerrillas. That's when we launched a surprise attack, captured the entire outpost in just 30 minutes.
Even after the Paris Accords, the Saigon Army retained a formidable presence in the Mekong Delta. In response, provinces continued expanding their forces.
Every province developed 1 to 2 battalions. Some had up to 3. Cà Mau was the strongest, growing to 12 battalions.
Building on their unstoppable momentum, the armed forces and people of Mekong Delta unleashed a wave of offensives. In the Vĩnh Cha direction, Regiments 1 and 3 eliminated 8 enemy sub-districts. Across Military Zone 8, nearly 1,000 enemy outposts were destroyed or forced to surrender, steadily expanding liberated zones and inflicting heavy losses on the enemy's main forces, laying a firm foundation for the final victory in the spring of 1975.
It's clear that without these campaigns, the spring offensive might have been delayed. It disrupted the enemy's last stand plan.
The campaign's success was sweeping and decisive. It left the enemy reeling, the morale collapsed, their units fell into disarray, and confusion spread rapidly. This destabilization became the launching pad for the final uprising and offensive in spring 1975, culminating in the Ho Chi Minh Campaign that ended the long war against the U.S.
The Vietnam Culture's Heritage Preservation Support Fund, in collaboration with Dr. Phạm Quang Nghị, former Politburo members and former secretary of the Hanoi Party Committee, held a ceremony on Tuesday morning to donate copies of his book, That Place is a Battleground, to various institutions and organizations. The event marked the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and national reunification. The book is a collection of diary entries and notes written by him during his time on the southern battlefront. It captures personal memories and shared experiences of the generations that lived through a brutal war. The world-famous opera Carmen, a timeless masterpiece celebrating its 150th anniversary, will finally debut at the Ho Gươm Theater. Vietnam will be the first destination in Southeast Asia for a faithful recreation of Carmen's first 1875 iteration promising local audiences a world-class musical experience.
Revived by the Royal Operas of Versailles, the Palazzetto Bruzane, and the Rouen Normandie Opera House, Carmen at the Hogum Theatre will faithfully recreate the original 1875 production, from stage design and costume to sound and setting.
What makes this special is that the French team has handcrafted every prop with remarkable attention to detail.
We were genuinely impressed by the Vietnamese team's warm hospitality, thoughtful organization, and professional coordination. Vietnam and its people have inspired us deeply, and we are more prepared than ever to present this classic opera to opera lovers here.
Carmen brings with it detailed stage directions to vibrant set sketches and costume design. The performance will bring Vietnamese audiences to 19th century Seville, Spain, where Carmen, the symbol of passion, freedom, and individuality, is told in its purest original spirit.
We hope to deliver an experience of refined excellence. Carmen will allow audiences to fully immerse themselves in the 19th century essence of opera while celebrating and preserving the timeless value of classical art.
More than just a performance, Carmen in Vietnam serves as a cultural bridge where European artistic heritage meets the contemporary spirit of Vietnam.
Coming up next in our world news, Pope Francis' funeral to be held on Saturday. And robotic rehabilitation in Turkey speeds up recovery. Pope Francis will be led to rest Saturday after lying in state for 3 days in St. Peter's Basilica. The Pope's sudden death set in motion ancient rituals as the 1.4 billion member church started the transition from one pope to another. All cardinals in Rome were summoned to a meeting on Tuesday to decide on the sequencing of events in the coming days and review the day-to-day running of the church in the period before a new pope is elected. A conclave to choose a new pope normally takes place 15 to 20 days after the death of a pontiff. The exact date will be decided by cardinals after the Francis funeral. Some 135 cardinals are eligible to participate in the secretive balut, which can stretch over days before white smoke pouring from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel tells the world that a new pope has been picked. China and Indonesia held the first ministerial meeting of joint foreign and defense ministerial dialogue in Beijing on Monday, noting that this is the first joint foreign and defense ministerial dialogue between China and a foreign country. China Foreign Minister Wang Yi said it reflects the high level of strategic mutual trust between the two countries. Meanwhile, Indonesia Foreign Minister Sujono stressed that Indonesia will maintain close collaboration within BRICS, G20, and the United Nations to promote multilateralism and inclusive global cooperation. The U.S. tariff policies and the disagreements between the U.S. President Donald Trump and the Federal Reserve have continued to cause turbulence in global financial markets. On Tuesday, Asian stock market had a mixed trading sessions, while the stock market in Tokyo, Sydney, Seoul, Manila, and Bangkok declined. The Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong, China, and the Shanghai Composite Index in China saw gains. European stocks also dropped during Tuesday trading sessions as investor confidence continued to weaken due to the emerging risks. Meanwhile, in the U.S., stock prices continue to fall for the second consecutive day. The U.S. dollar has also fallen to its lowest point in 3 years amid President Donald Trump's continued pressure on the Fed to cut interest rates to prevent the U.S. economy from falling into recessions. In Turkey, robotic rehabilitation is gaining popularity as it helps patients recover faster and more effectively. Experts at hospital emphasize early interventions with notable results for injury and stroke recovery thanks to robotic technologies.
In Turkey, robotic devices are now being used for rehabilitation treatment following injuries. These robots assist individuals who are unable to walk, helping them regain mobility, and aid those with limited limb movement by supporting joint motion. This technology-based therapy has been found to be 20% more effective than conventional rehabilitation methods. While there are various types of rehabilitation treatments, robotic rehabilitation is proving to be the most effective. The key advantage of this method is its ability to deliver results in a short period, allowing injured individuals to return to normal life more quickly.
Robotic rehabilitation is most effective when started as soon as possible. The device can precisely identify which part of the patient's body is not functioning well. Overall, this is considered the latest advancement in rehabilitation treatment worldwide. The results are truly impressive. One course of treatment lasts about a month.
The robotic device is suitable for people recovering from accidents or strokes. Hospitals utilizing this technology have become popular among patients seeking advanced rehabilitation care.
And now, as usual, let's continue with the weather forecast. And that's it for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can log on to vtvgo.vn or download our mobile application VTVgo. Thanks for watching and goodbye for now.